Bună ziua, domnule.
Good day, ministers, Mrs. State Councillor, dear colleagues, distinguished guests. Welcome to the event where we launch the pilot climate diplomacy network of Romania. It is a hybrid event. We have guests here in the room and also guests who join us online, experts and foreign guests and experts from the Ministry of Environment, Waters and Forest. The Climate Diplomacy Network at this moment brings together 18 missions, diplomatic missions of Romania, Brussels EU, Brussels NATO, permanent mission of Romania in New York, permanent mission in Geneva, embassies in Nairobi, Kuwait, London, Copenhagen, Rome, Berna, Stockholm, Hague, Vienna, Paris, Warsaw, Oslo, Islamabad, and Washington. Within this network, we also have representatives of the relevant authorities in Romania. What we want with this network is to connect the efforts and the initiatives at national level with the action at the European and global level. And I salute the presence here of Bogdan Aurescu, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Tancsos Barna, Minister of Environment, and State Councillor Alexandra Boksha, as well as I salute the presence of all of you online. I will also note the presence of the Bucharest embassies of the countries of the network of the climate diplomacy of Romania. And thank you for joining us. Climate change affects every aspect of our life. We have national projects such as the Green Fridays or the Rabla program, wreck cars, old cars. And we intend to promote similar activities in our relationship with partner states and also absorb good practice that is promoted in other countries. This is where the role of diplomacy comes in connecting efforts and topics together. 2021 is a special year, especially in terms of the green diplomacy, climate diplomacy. We already noticed a powerful revigoration of efficient multilateralism that includes the file of climate change on the agenda of achieving sustainable development goals. Climate diplomacy is also connected to significant bilateral values. We are going to see this in the intervention of our representatives from our ambassadors from London and Copenhagen. Before I pass the floor to the Minister of Foreign Affairs to open the event, I will ask you to keep your microphones closed during the event and only open them turn them on when you are when you speak. If you want to comment, I will invite you to use the raise hand function of the application. Now, Minister Bogdan Aurescu, you have the floor, please. Thank you very much. State Councillor, Mr. Minister, Your Excellencies, dear colleagues, distinguished guests, I have the pleasure to open this event that marks a premiere for the diplomacy of Romania, the launching of Romania's Green Diplomacy Network. The network brings together at this pilot stage, as my colleague was mentioning, 18 diplomatic missions of Romania, in the missions that up to now showed the highest level of engagement. In Europe, we have 13 missions. included in this pilot mission network at the American continent with 2 missions, Asia with 2 missions, Africa with 1 embassy, Washington to Islamabad and Oslo to Nairobi. What we want with this network is to consolidate Romania's expertise, the Romanian diplomacy expertise in this field. It is a pilot network because in the long term, what we want is to include all Romanian missions in this network. Currently, we see effects of climate change that have a negative impact on the environment starting with the 50s. Many of the changes are first of their kind. We see the oceans warming up, we see smaller amounts of snow, we see effects in the everyday life and the major impact on the quality of our life. As a member of the Commission of the UN Commission of International Law, I raised to the attention of this Commission this very important topic of the relationship between the increasing level of seas and oceans as an effect of climate change and international law. And I actually initiated, together with my colleagues, to include this action to include this topic on our agenda. We drafted last year and presented to the Commission our first report on the sea law and relationship with increasing sea level. Climate change has become a multiplier of threat. It risks to undermine global stability and global security, and includes human phenomena such as accelerated desertification, famine, scarcity of water, disease, conflict for resources. We can see that those who are challenged with these extreme risks are the poorest of the countries, even though they had the smallest contribution to create this crisis. This fragility sets obstacles for fighting climate change. And as the President of Romania was saying yesterday, Mr. Klaus Iohannis, climate change does not can affect every one of us and is not limited by borders, by national borders. So we have to work together to strengthen our own resilience and the resilience of those most vulnerable of us. Therefore, cooperation and global solutions are the only ways in which these challenges can be tackled. Therefore, climate change has become a goal of international policies. Within this context, where climate change is one of the major challenges with a multidimensional impact at the global level, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, together with institutions specializing in the field and the support of the presidential administration, has joined efforts to commit to the international goals in this field. The moment that we chose for launching this pilot network is not random. First of all, the COVID-19 pandemic showed once again that a global problem requires a global solution. In February 2021, the joint communication of the European Commission and of the High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policies, based on the European Union's contribution to rule-based multilateralism, was presented. We are committed to joining our efforts for dynamic and green recovery according to the objectives of the Paris Agreement. Climate change was on the agenda of the European Council, on the agenda of the European Council For 2030, we talk about a significant reduction of pollution compared to 1990, which means 55% reduction. And for 2050, we talk already about an objective of climate neutrality. As the President of Romania, Mr. Klaus Iohannis, mentioned yesterday, these are very ambitious goals, but they're achievable if we share tasks and involve everyone in a fair manner. We are also 6 months away from the from COP26, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. It will take place in Glasgow, and we are encouraged by the commitments of states regarding the increased level of ambition, especially in terms of reducing carbon emissions before 2030 and achieving climate neutrality by the mid-century. However, there's a long way to go there. At an international level, we salute the US coming back into and joining again the fight against climate change. I participated together with the Special Envoy of the US, John Kerry, for climate, John Kerry, to the informal reunion of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the EU states on climate change. And on that occasion, I saluted the priority that the new American administration gives to the dialogue with the European Union so that we can work together and achieve the ambitious goals in this field. We are also marking 5 years from the coming into force of the Paris Agreement. Distinguished guests, climate diplomacy is a key instrument in reaching climate goals and keeping the pace of action. This gives us the opportunity to debate, to share objectives and challenges, to cooperate and look for shared solutions, to learn from each other and support each other. The pilot network of Romania provides a platform for change of information, experiences and lessons learned, and facilitates communication with the relevant national authorities. This initiative comes to supplement the Romanian missions that promoted the topic of climate change multilaterally and bilaterally, and is also meant to contribute to continuing this promoting these objectives. There are 4 pillars around which the goals of this network are structured: to identify and implement bilateral projects of interest. Foreign missions accredited in Bucharest can play an important role together with the national institutions, and I thank them for their individual presence here today and for their openness to our initiative. Secondly, promoting the priorities and national priorities and perspectives regarding climate issues. Thirdly, supporting the EU objectives for the international fora, especially, in particular, those related to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. The 4th pillar is to support the implementation of the international cooperation for development. We rely here on our diplomatic missions to identify and propose climate-related projects, especially in those countries that are most vulnerable and less developed. Although the mandate is quite a generous one, it is not exhaustive. This is why we encourage and appreciate any other initiatives of the members of the network. I count on the initiative and your creativity and your effort to make this pilot network fully operational and capable to fulfill its mandate. As I was saying at the beginning, our goal is to have all the missions of Romania to join this network, and I will emphasize here the importance of the contribution that each and every one of us can have in support of these objectives. We all have to work to build a fair, clean, and safe future. We all have a duty for the future generations to change this goal into a success. We have the power of example, and we have perseverance, and we have to work together for this shared goal. Therefore, the success of this initiative is here in our hands, and what we look for is sustainable development and fair development and inclusive behavior for our benefit and for the benefit of the future generations. I would thank Minister Tancsos Barna for his warm open welcome to our initiative. Today is his birthday, so I will take the opportunity to wish him a happy birthday. Thank you for your attention, and I'm here looking forward to strengthening and implementing Romania's mandate in green climate policy. Thank you, Minister. You highlighted the main pillars of the mandate, and thank you for giving us details about the concept on how this network is going to work. Of course, we count on your support further on to support the activity of this network and mobilize the involvement and engagement of other diplomatic missions. Now I have the pleasure to give the floor to the Minister of Environment, Water and Forests, Mr. Barna Tancsos. Thank you, Minister, and happy birthday from us too. Thank you very much. What could the Minister of Environment want from the Minister of Exterior for their birthday more than a true gift, climate diplomacy network? So thank you for this gift, and also thank you for your invitation, dear Minister, dear esteemed State Councillor, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests. My participation in this event is an honor. And it is an event that that brings together relevant stakeholders within the context of the launching of this climate diplomacy network. It is also a recognition of the fact that climate change is a global threat, and the responsibility to manage it efficiently belongs to all of us. As we all know, climate change-generated events generate negative effects at an economic and social level and affect millions of people. We have a great responsibility in political terms for Romania, reaching the goals of climate neutrality by 2050 and fulfilling the commitments under the Paris Agreement will be a true challenge. A significant challenge that will have to be supported by specific policies and measures to support all these goals. We are already challenged by a number of emergencies in the field of environment protection and fighting climate change, and accelerated urbanization has come about with an intensification of polluting emissions. The traditional accent of diplomacy in the field of climate is on the great emitters and on the great developing economies. At the same time, new levels of action have been opened to integrate and strengthen climate diplomacy in the bilateral commitments and regional commitments. The action at global level provides the context for us to participate to the efforts of fighting climate change and transitioning towards a low carbon economy. All these efforts create a new dynamic in international cooperation in the field of environment. Reaching the objectives of the Paris Agreement depends not only on the negotiations within the United Nations structures, but also on bilateral and multilateral interactions and measures that have to be strengthened. Therefore, we have to include strengthen dialogue and consultations at regional level in order to provide to focus more on the benefits and opportunities for this global transformation. I think we all agree that greater effort in this field can only be successful if all the states will show the same level of concern and put together an urgent collective response beyond their own ambitions and create and facilitate access to expertise and exchange of good practice at the regional and bilateral level. To this purpose, as we can see, we can see around us a number of multilateral initiatives prepared by various states that focus on global or punctual aspects related to climate change and environment protection. The Ministry of Environment has carried out detailed analysis and has shown a permanent openness to strengthening international cooperation and add value to each of these instruments. Later on, we notice that our vision matches the mandate of the Climate Diplomacy Network, as each and every one of us will work together to reach the objectives that we set. I am sure that Romania's profile is going to be improved. Ladies and gentlemen, it is clear that climate change has already changed the coordinates of foreign policy, especially that we see a number of states confronted with the negative impact. Consequences such as water scarcity, competition for resources, food crisis are going to make climate a priority subject in external policy. On the other hand, bearing in mind our objective of keeping the planet clean for the future generations, we need fundamental change and transformation in all the fields of social-economic life. And here I mentioned the need to change the behavior, both individually and together, and also to bring about change in many of the practices and habits in various sectors of activities. This is an invitation to change, an invitation to become aware of the effects that we generate, with our daily activity. Therefore, an ambitious climate policy is the only solution to reduce climate risks. And I want to assure you of the full support of the Ministry of Environment, Water and Forests. I am sure that our openness to collaborate in identifying the best solutions will guarantee implementation and successful development of this initiative by relying on the support of external policy to identify the financial instruments and the adequate policies to promote sustainable development with low greenhouse gas emissions and resilient to climate change. I also want to thank each and every one of you for your involvement in this field and for the openness in strengthening cooperation and the development of relations, of Romania's relations internationally. Thank you very much. It is for me a great honor to be here and see this diplomatic network, climate network, being launched. Thank you, Minister, for your intervention and for your support also. The active involvement of the Ministry of Water and Forests is, as far as we are concerned, key for the success of this network. On the other hand, of course, Romania's climate diplomacy network can be useful to promote some of the objectives of your institutions, and of course you can count on our support for that. Now I have the pleasure to pass the floor to State Councillor for Climate and Sustainability at the Presidential Administration, Mrs. Alexandra Maria Bocșe. She was permanently in support of the creation of this climate diplomacy network. State Councillor, you have the floor. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Minister of Environment, Forest and Waters, dear ambassadors, representatives of diplomatic missions, dear guests. Please let me start by congratulating the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Minister Bogdan Aurescu for launching the network of climate diplomacy of Romania. The field of climate change is a priority field for the President of Romania, a field where he has taken a commitment publicly to contribute to strengthening at the European and international level the role of Romania. Dear ministers, in this sense, we count on a close cooperation with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Water and Environment. The Presidential Administration, especially the Department for Climate and Sustainability, has lately pleaded for the need of Romanian institutions to adapt to the intersectoral challenge that climate change brings about, and grow the number of experts in climate change that we have and who are working in various institutions and ministries. I am happy that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has responded to this call, and as part of this response, they are launching this network today. Dear ambassadors and representatives of the diplomatic missions, of the Romanian diplomatic missions, who are, as of today, officially part of Romania's climate diplomacy network, I want to thank you for your interest for this initiative, for your substantial contribution in defining the mandate of this network, for your efforts in creating and defining, shaping this network. I also want to thank you for your involvement and for the activities that you do in the field of climate and sustainability. These activities, as I noticed, increased progressively in the past few months. I also want to convey this message to you. President of Romania, Mr. Klaus Iohannis, is aware of your activity in the field of climate and sustainability, and he appreciates the efforts that you make. In the future, we hope that we are going to have an even closer collaboration with you. I do not doubt that the level of engagement is going to increase, especially more now that the Climate Diplomacy Network is launched officially. Dear ambassadors and representatives of the foreign missions accredited in Bucharest, climate change is one of the most important challenges that we are facing today at a global level. We are in state of climate emergency, and the effects of climate change do not know national borders. And therefore, international cooperation in this field is key. I take this opportunity to invite you to collaborate and work together with Romania on topics regarding climate change and sustainability. So do not hesitate to approach the presidential administration on topics of climate change and sustainability, especially when it comes to projects and interactions at the level of the heads of states. There is an opportunity to learn from the public policies that we develop at governmental level. There are a lot of local authorities also in Romania who are willing and open to collaborate with you on topics of climate and sustainability. I also do not doubt that the economic environment in Romania and in the countries that you represent can develop together, can work together and develop successful activities, bring about economic growth and new jobs. These activities will develop around an economy of sustainability. I will end by wishing us you a successful activity with the diplomatic network of Romania. Thank you, State Councillor, for your intervention and for the support of the presidential administration and your support for this network. And of course now, because we talk about implementing the mandate and about the role of the Romania's embassies and diplomatic missions, according to the parameters that Minister Aurescu mentioned as well, I would like to come back to 2 points of view from our embassies. And on this occasion, I want to invite Ambassador Laura Popescu from London to take the floor. Can you hear us, Ambassador? Yes, I can hear you. Hello, dear ministers, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. I am happy to participate today to the launching of this pilot climate diplomacy of Romania. The connection between climate and security has come back to take the forefront of the international diplomacy. The democracies of the world realize more and more that the impact of climate change on international security requires adequate intervention. As Minister Aurescu was saying earlier, the changes are a multiplying factor of threats at an international level. The event today is a proof of our will to collaborate bilaterally and multilaterally with the diplomacies of all countries engaged in alleviating climate change. It is my belief that the actions within this network are going to strengthen Romania's good practice in this complex field and to promote the goals and objectives and the punctual interests of Romania within the context of the negotiations inside the European Union, but also internationally. And I'm sure that these actions will contribute to the objectives proposed by Romania within the climate diplomacy network, and I will mention some of them, some of the successful ones. In the UK, reduction of greenhouse gases, passing legislation to support the objective of climate neutrality by 2050 and alleviating climate change. It is also significant the fact that, just as Minister and the State Councillor also mentioned, Glasgow is going to be host of COP26 in November this year. It is a significant event for the entire diplomacy in the world. The governments of the participant states are going to review the contributions, the national determinant contributions, and make some conclusive decisions to respond to the concerns regarding climate resilience. We also look to the commitment to engage about $100 billion for the implementation and for achieving the goals of the Paris Agreement. In the next period, we intend to organize consultations at government level and at parliament level on this topic. And we will also invite young people to join us. We are going to work with students in London who show great interest in this topic. In the end, it is about shaping their future. We also mention here bilateral visits on this topic. These are going to be some of the priorities that our mission is going to take or has taken already when we accepted to be part of this climate diplomacy network. We will also support attracting projects in the field of green economy for the companies in this field in Romania, and also to support the recovery of the Romanian economy in this field. We are going to support collaboration between the Romanian and the British economic environment. And as a conclusion, I reiterate, I'm happy to see this climate diplomacy network launched finally, and I'm sure that it is going to be successful in bringing together all the stakeholders to create a powerful role for Romania on the scene of climate change, of fighting climate change. And I also want to wish the Minister a happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you very much also. Thank you. We will also try to, yes, I emphasize we are going to try to capitalize on the efforts developed for the success of COP26, and thank you for your specific ideas. Within this context, we're going to provide discussions and follow-up action. Now I would like to give the floor to Ambassador Alexandru Grădinar in Copenhagen. Ambassador, can you see us? Can you hear us? You have the floor. Yes, thank you. Hello, dear ministers, Mrs. State Councillor, Mr. State Secretary, distinguished colleagues from Copenhagen. We salute enthusiastically the launching of the climate diplomacy network in Romania, and we thank you for inviting us to attend this event. Our embassy was in support of this initiative from the very beginning, especially that as early as 2019 we were able to see a similar model in operation, in action, launched by the Danish diplomacy. You can count on us because we have a lot of projects to activate the mandate of the Green Network. We are privileged because we are here in Denmark. It is a country with great ambitions in climate, in the field of climate. Climate is an everyday discussion here. With the COVID-19 pandemic, the concept of Build Back Better is actually implemented with funds and vision to support it. The Ministry of Exterior in Denmark has a department for green diplomacy. There is a climate ambassador appointed to coagulate all the action in this field. Denmark has a goal to reduce polluting emissions by 70% until 2030, with great consensus from the political parties and the citizens. Denmark has specific plans to build an artificial offshore island of wind energy in the Northern Sea. Denmark is one of the EU countries with the greatest ambitions in the field of climate. It facilitates meetings between EU member states and the Special Envoy of the US for Climate. It is invited to attend important reunions. The Summit of Climate Leaders, of the Leaders Summit for Climate, had Denmark as a guest, and even last year the Romanian embassy in Copenhagen has innovated in the field of first climate diplomacy actions. We invited high-level officials from the presidential administration of Romania and from the Romanian and the Danish government. We launched debates with Romanians from Denmark who hold significant, important positions in the fields of energy, sustainability, financial banking. We organized information sessions and talked about the contribution of each citizen in reducing the carbon footprint. We developed our network of contacts, especially in the private and academic environment. What we intend to do now is to enhance the presence of Danish investors in Romania. We also count for this. We also count on the Embassy of Denmark in Bucharest. Romania has a great potential in this green transition, and I'm sure that it is going to be very interesting for external capital. I would say that the Romanian diplomacy sends a call to action, a powerful call to action with this event today and with the initiative launched today. First, a call to mobilization of all officials and citizens. A second message is to the European Union, conveying the message that European states can count on Romania in the green transition. And the third message to all EU partners to come closer together and upgrade our commitments under the Paris Agreement and COP26. Thank you very much. I hope we are going to be back together very soon. Why not in a new meeting on climate and diplomacy. Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you for your input and for your ideas. And I think that already in this launching session, the mission of the climate diplomacy mission is already confirmed. It is going to be a platform to promote and support good practice and good ideas. We count on your support and your active engagement. We just have a few minutes left now for any comments, maybe very brief, that you may have from the audience. So if there's any comments on this moment, please let us know. I think we have, I see here a signal from, I think it's the representative of the Embassy of the United States in Bucharest. Please, you have the floor. Can you activate turn your microphone on? Hello, everyone.
Paris agreements again, and that the Biden administration is fully committed to tackling the climate crisis. As many of you will remember, President Biden has announced new ambitious targets of a reduction of 50 to 52% from 2005 levels in the net greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. You may have been participants. President Biden hosted the Virtual Leaders Summit, as the ambassador noted, on climate last month. And we are grateful to every leader who participated, both in the summit as well as in the ministerial roundtables hosted by Special Envoy Kerry. So I just wanted to say we are committed to climate action. We are raising our ambition to combat climate crisis, and we will continue to focus our efforts on climate diplomacy and encourage our partners to do the same via actions like this one. The summit was a key milestone on the way to Glasgow, and in the coming decade, we know that action will be decisive. To keep the vital goal of limiting warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius within reach, we need to get on the right path now, and we are aware of that. We support the EU targets and wish to closely work with Romania as well as other partners to jointly address the climate crisis, while also working on economic recovery, building a sustainable future, increasing jobs and security. With that, I just wanted to thank the Foreign Ministry as well as the Ministry of Environment and Water for all of your efforts and for starting this wonderful exchange. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for sharing and reminding some important benchmarks in our global efforts to tackle climate change from the climate summit hosted by President Biden towards COP26 towards the end of this year. Cred că nu mai avem alte comentarii în momentul de față, motiv pentru care, evident, ne apropiem de finalul acestei discuții, care nu
comments, but the end of this discussion is not the end of the process. I want to thank the ministers, Mrs. State Chancellor, and all the colleagues of the Romanian diplomatic service who participated, but especially the embassies from Bucharest, because as far as we are concerned, these signals encouraging signals are very positive, and we do need your support further on to make this network operational and exchange ideas. We are going to look into everything carefully from now on, but the challenge that we are now launching to the diplomatic missions, not only to the diplomatic missions of Romania, but also to the diplomatic missions of from Bucharest, is to for you to identify who will manage to implement the first project under the auspices of this climate diplomacy network. You can all promote creative ideas to support global efforts. So we launched this challenge at the end of this opening session, launching session, and in the near future we hope we're going to identify the best ideas that can coagulate diplomatic efforts in Bucharest or in the capital cities of the partner countries. And we're sure that this is the way in which we can make this climate diplomacy network support it into reaching its maximum potential and produce specific results. With these comments, we want to thank you for your participation, Mr. Minister, and good luck from now on. Thank you very much, and good luck to you.